Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us today for this webinar with Druva around protecting your data center in the cloud era. My name is Danielle Chapman. I work in the marketing team at Bytes, and today I'm really pleased to be joined by Martin Edwards, technical lead at Druva, and Joe Hepburn, who is one of our data management specialists here at Bytes. So I'm going to pass over to Joe Hepburn now, who's just going to go through the agenda and provide a little bit of an intro.
Thanks, Danielle. Morning, guys. Thanks for joining today. So my name's Joe Hepburn. I head up the data management team here at Bytes. Over the last 12 months, particularly during the COVID period of time, we've spoke to a number of organizations where backup has been a headache, and a lot of that is down to their traditional environments, things like tape, accessing sites, and those kind of issues. And COVID has accelerated people moving away from that approach. We've been working with Druva for a good few years now and see them as an absolute best of breed vendor in terms of simplifying your backup approach, consolidating some of those legacy environments and moving yourselves forward to a more cloud native environment. The agenda for today is going to be a quick poll around some questions that we're keen to understand from you, an overview of Druva as a whole, the benefits of cloud backup, case studies, strategy to reduce costs, how to improve backup reliability and recover instantly, and how Druva and Phoenix can reduce your overall storage footprint. So with that, I will hand over to Martin and let him get underway.
Cool, thank you very much. Just wait for the poll to close. And thank you very much, and thank you for attending today. Thanks for the introduction, Joe and Danielle. My name is Martin Edwards. I'm the Director of Partners and Alliances for Druva within the EMEA region. And today we're very much looking at redefining data protection for the data center. Throughout the course of this session, I want to look a little bit at modern data protection challenges that organizations might be facing, an overview of Druva as a whole, and then drill into some differentiators that make Druva unique, and then looking at a few case studies of organizations that have taken the Druva solution to help them improve their overall data management and data protection strategies. So if we look at the modern data protection challenges, we really see these coming into three main areas. The first is increased costs and complexity, with data being spread across multiple locations, multiple regions, quite a few of those now being cloud. The cost to manage and maintain and cover all of that data is driving real big problems for organizations. On top of that, we have cyber resilience and compliance. So being able to make sure that you are protected from ransomware and malware, but also keeping yourself in adherence to any compliance like GDPR and so on and so forth, covering you against fines and penalties. And then protecting cloud initiatives, being able to take what you've been doing historically within the bounds of your own data centers, but allowing coverage to expand and cover you for any data that is living in the cloud in its first instance. And if we look at analyst views on whereabouts we are, we can clearly see that public cloud adoption is growing. And Gartner actually states that 80% of enterprises are going to be migrating away and closing their on-premise data centers by 2025. 54% of CIOs believe that streamlining storage is the best opportunity for them as organizations to make cost savings. And quite a worrying fact from Gartner is that 40% of small businesses that manage their own networks are going to be hacked, and 50% of those won't know. As we know, the world is changing. So we really see a lot of organizations coming to us, really again with these four main problem areas and problem statements. The first, as people are moving away from their traditional data centers, looking to be able to shut down those data centers, replacing what they have been doing traditionally from a legacy perspective. Enterprise resiliency and disaster recovery, again with the power of the cloud enabling organizations to look at things from a different way, being able to fail back or fail over into a cloud-based solution that helps them reduce additional costs by not having DR sites powered and maintained. Obviously, cloud workloads, moving data to run out of the cloud, whether that be from an endpoint perspective with Microsoft 365 or Google Workspaces, or looking at data center hosted applications like VMware Cloud on AWS or Oracle. Being able to maintain the same sort of data protection across those is again something that organizations need to make sure that they address. And then we also see from mergers and acquisitions the ability to protect remote offices and branch offices as easily as if that data was within a traditional data center. We see an awful lot of customers coming to us with major concerns around that because of the amount of infrastructure that's needed to go off and protect those smaller sites. Looking at software as a service for data protection changes the playing field quite a lot. It allows organizations to scale faster because these facilities are readily available within the public cloud. It allows organizations to pay for use rather than the traditional approach of having to prepay for infrastructure that will then last them for a set period of time, where quite often that infrastructure is left stranded for the vast majority of the time that that investment has been made. Evolved IT, new roles, less on-premise infrastructure to manage and maintain, but more solutions to be managed from a cloud-based advantage. And of course, being security ready. Built-in security, regional access and compliance without necessarily having to take the same approach on maintaining your own perimeters of your own data centers. So looking at Druva as a solution, Druva provides a SaaS-based platform for data protection. Druva covers four main workloads that organizations typically have. The first is data within your traditional data center, covering data that resides on Microsoft or Linux file servers. We have Oracle and SQL coverage from a database perspective. We provide organizations the ability to protect data that sits on NAS devices or network shares. And from a virtualization perspective, we can cover workloads, whether they reside on VMware or Hyper-V, or even VMware Cloud on AWS or VMware Cloud from other providers. We also have tools to allow organizations to protect data that reside on the endpoint devices. So we cover laptops and desktops, whether they're Windows, Mac, or Linux. We cover data that resides on mobile devices, whether they be phones or tablets, across Android and iOS. For data that has gone out into the cloud already, we have cloud-to-cloud-based protection for the likes of Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, and Salesforce and Slack. And for organizations that have migrated across to AWS and are running workloads within AWS, we have a product to help simplify and manage the snapshot creation and retention, as well as compliance and business continuity within an AWS environment as well. For the physical data, so the data centers and your endpoint data, Druva's created the Druva Cloud platform that is built natively on AWS. From that platform, we allow organizations to protect data from all of these devices, reducing that data down in size through global deduplication, and hold that data for as long as a customer needs it to, based on user profiles or server workloads. From a cloud workload protection perspective, we provide an orchestration layer in front of an organization's AWS account, or AWS accounts if they have multiple accounts, allowing them a central view of all of their workloads across all of their regions, and easily allow them to place global policies across all of that data. And what it is we do from that global footprint of data that we've collected within the Druva Cloud platform is allow backup and recovery services. That also allows disaster recovery for organizations, because the data is accessible from the cloud and can be recovered and accessed from anywhere to anywhere. But utilizing the power of the cloud, it also allows us to do more with a customer's data. Through having all of the metadata and data indexed and searchable, it allows organizations to improve their governance posture, allowing the likes of compliance checks against what data you have stored where, and even going as far as searching content of data that is stored within our platform against sensitive data like credit card numbers, PII, drugs information, and so on and so forth. It allows us to simplify electronic discovery of data as well. Because we've gathered data from multiple sources and we're storing it in that single footprint of data for an organization, being able to go off and segregate data for legal or compliance purposes is vastly simplified by having all of that data in one place, and you know you're looking for data in that one area rather than having to go off to multiple different regions. And we also enable archival of data. So for organizations that need, for compliance purposes, to store data for a long period of time, the Druva solutions allow organizations to do that in a cost-effective way by utilizing cheaper storage tiers for data that is more aged and unlikely to be accessed. And we take it one step further by providing organizations far better data intelligence around the data that is being stored. So improving an organization's analytics, understanding what data is where, enabling organizations to easily look at historic growth rates, change rates, understanding whether storage is growing at a particularly fast level on a particular set of workloads. And using things like machine learning to understand what is normal behavior for a server workload or a user, and easily identifying back to the business if we see changes to that normal behavior. So that could be data sets being deleted, data being ingested, data being changed or modified, and indeed data being encrypted. So we cover you really from understanding users deleting data before leaving organizations, malware attacks on your organization, and ransomware attacks on your organization, easily enabling you as a business to be able to go back to a last known good point in time before that unusual data activity happened. All of this is delivered without the need for you as an organization to install and run any additional infrastructure, hardware, or complexity. No need for media servers, no need for agents or applications running physically within your data center. We deploy agents and proxies within your environment to allow us to read data, and we use the power of the cloud to process and understand what elements of data need to be transferred and stored within the cloud to leave you as a business fully protected. Being based within the AWS infrastructure, it allows us to provide storage locations to organizations right across the globe. Organizations can choose where they store data, how many storage locations they spin up within their environment, and indeed which servers or which workloads store data in what location. All of this is delivered on a pay-as-you-go model. So you as an organization only pay for the amount of storage that you have used within our solution, and allow you as a business to still comply to any data residency laws or restrictions that cover you, even if you are a global organization. And looking really at the traditional approach against a cloud SaaS-based approach here is on the left-hand side, you have your production servers, but you probably have those replicated to a second site for disaster recovery. From your main operations site, you're going to be running some form of backup software, which is going to keep a copy of that data. That data is then going to pass to a server or a deduplication appliance, again, which you are likely to have bought another one for replication purposes. Then for long-term storage, you may be going off to tape, you may be utilizing your own cloud-based storage for the long-term retained data. Drawbacks to that approach is that's an awful lot of infrastructure that you need to pay for, install, maintain, and manage. And the data that you're storing within the cloud is literally just a dump of that data for recovery purposes. Utilizing a cloud SaaS-based solution, we eliminate the need for you to have a secondary site by providing disaster recovery directly in the cloud. We remove the necessity for backup software, servers, and dedupe appliances and tape by taking that data straight into the cloud, where you don't have to worry about storage constraints and limitations. And we allow you to gain additional value-added services from that historic data that we are storing within the cloud. Reducing down the amount of complexity that you have from an infrastructure and a management perspective helps drive towards reduced total cost of ownership. And with the Druva solution, we often see well in excess of 50% reduced cost of running solutions by going directly to the cloud. And we have a TCO calculator on druva.com that will allow you to go in and plug in some information about your existing environment and visually be able to see where you would be able to save money by taking a SaaS-based approach to data protection. Cloud disaster recovery, taking any VMware related backups that you were doing from on-premise and being able to create runbooks against specified servers within your environment and allowing you to have those ready and waiting in the cloud for you to fail over to should there be an issue, with complete runbooks for which servers are being turned on when, predefining IP ranges and IP addresses, and when the disaster has been averted, being able to then take your version that you were running in the cloud and fail back so that you are able to get that back into your on-premise scenario. All of this provided automatically with a few clicks and available to allow you not to have to pay for your bricks and mortar for disaster recovery. That's an overview of Druva as a whole, but looking at the differentiators that we have, let's look at what's under the hood of the Druva-based solution. What we're providing is completely autonomous. It can be deployed automatically by you as an organization. In reality, it's automatically managed. You can set rules so that when you see additional servers that meet a specific criteria, it automatically gets added to your protection means. There's zero maintenance. Druva maintains the back-end solution for you and allow you to control any updates to the agents or the proxies that are out in your environment, allowing us to collect data. We deduplicate data globally across all of your devices, all of your workloads, seeing well in excess of 100x storage reduction from traditional approaches where you're taking full backups and incremental backups over time. We automatically tier older data to cut the cost of data that you need to keep long term. And yes, we do far more than just backing up your data for recovery purposes. We provide value-added services around governance and compliance and analytics. And we're built natively on AWS. And AWS are the world leader in public cloud, and we partner heavily with those. But we are integrated with Snowball Edge. So when you do take on our service, if you have a large amount of data that needs to be protected, we can utilize Snowball Edge to allow the ingestion of that data very easily without having to impact your bandwidth within your organization. And just a note there on the right-hand side from GameStop, what really excited us is that all aspects of Druva platform are distinctly cloud native, unlike competitors who seem to have integrated the cloud as an afterthought. It's a key thing here. There are organizations that are providing what they deem to be cloud solutions, but in reality, what those cloud solutions are is the on-premise service just running on a machine in the cloud. And that really doesn't make a cloud native solution, because that on-premise solution is still constrained by the exact same constraints that you experience from an on-premise solution. There is still disk constraints, processing constraints. Being natively built within the cloud allows everything to be scalable on demand as we see the demand hit us. Our deduplication, the ability for us to drastically reduce the amount of data that is needing to be transmitted and stored within the Druva solution, is really one of our key secret sources. We deduplicate at a block level across all workloads and data sources, meaning that we can deduplicate the vast majority of a VMware environment if all of those machines are running the same operating system. There's a lot of deduplication in each of those machines. We can identify that and reduce the amount that you need to store. It's only changed blocks of data that we care about within our backup routines. So we have the source, and we are doing forever incremental at a block-based level. And because we are only charging a customer based on the actual data that is stored within our solution, it means reduced costs for you as a business and no more over provisioning where you're buying storage that you will always never ever use more than 80% of. And from a long-term data perspective, I've mentioned a few times, looking at your traditional approach, you've got a lot of storage management, you've got on-prem management, you've got the cloud elements, you're not globally deduplicating across those two environments. So you can see massive amounts of savings by taking one single global copy of your data and only moving relevant blocks or relevant aged blocks of data out to the long-term retention cloud storage tiering. And of course, being an enterprise-grade solution, security is always at the forefront of what we have deployed for our customers. We maintain zero trust architecture models. You control your keys and your access to your data protection, not Druva. Everything that we are backing up and maintaining is immutable and encrypted. So there is no way that ransomware or malware can infiltrate your historic backups. Every snapshot we are taking is truly air-gapped within our solution. We run on AWS infrastructure. That gives us fantastic, strong networking security within the product itself. But not only do we have the AWS accreditations for the data whilst it's at rest, Druva also is accredited in many, many aspects for running the cloud solution. And a lot of our accreditations dovetail into the accreditations that are provided by AWS for the data at rest. And because it's a cloud-based service, much in the same way as Netflix, it's simple to use, intuitive to use. You can be up and running and deployed within 15 minutes. Automatic protection with no touch updates. You can apply global policies easily across multiple sets of data, but we also provide you granular control. So different levels of administrators with different rights to access specific machines, specific locations. And we have built-in analytics and insights into your data, allowing you to understand more about not only the data that you have today, but the data you have had over time, allowing you to take steps to optimize your own costs and performance, allowing you to exclude data from certain data types and locations and so on and so forth, and understand how much data is growing or any anomalies within your environment. On top of this, Druva provides APIs to enable a productive ecosystem. Yes, we partner with AWS, so we can target in with various AWS solutions to help assist you, whether that be Snowball Edge for data ingestion, outposts and private links. We have a partnership with VMware, so we're vSAN ready, protecting VMware, whether that be on-premise or in the cloud. And automations to Bocada or ServiceNow to allow you to integrate alerts within our system into your own ticketing systems to help streamline that process through. Just going to look at a couple of case studies here just to give you an understanding of some organizations that have driven forward with our solutions. First being the University of Manchester, the home of computing. Taking very much a cloud-first based approach. They were looking at migrating a lot of their on-premise VMware into VMware Cloud on AWS. They wanted a cloud-first approach to this and were looking at some of our competitors, but in running similar style solutions, cost prohibitive to do it that way. The results that University of Manchester found was 50% storage cost reductions compared to what they were looking at doing if they were keeping legacy on-premise. They saw global deduplication storage savings as their core 25 terabytes of data was only utilizing 10 terabytes of storage of back-end deduplicated blocks. They have in excess of 160 VMs protected with Druva Phoenix, and they have also taken the steps to start protecting their on-premise VMware environments with our solution as well, because they were able to visibly see the storage savings against their legacy approach. And a nice comment from them, Druva Phoenix facilitated our migration to VMware Cloud on AWS. We also do all of the hard work at the back end, so they don't have to worry about it. MFX, again, consolidating their data centers, wanting a cloud native DR based approach, and wanting to improve their operational efficiency. In switching to us, they eliminated all of their on-premise infrastructure, and they ended up with a centralized and simplified solution, enabling them to visualize their backups far easier. And interestingly, from their legacy approach, it proved that taking the cloud approach actually provided them faster backup and restores than their existing on-premise environment. Again, a nice comment from Annette. With Druva, the majority of our backups are running twice as fast as compared to the on-premise legacy solution that they were running. Cats Media again. Challenges, complexity and lack of scale within their existing solutions. Because of that complexity, it was causing performance issues and they saw their costs escalating. In running the Druva-based solution, they've been able to not only protect their data, but migrate some workloads across to AWS with the improved time that they've had in focusing on that. 50% less time managing backups. And they've also taken their disaster recovery approach and migrated that into AWS Cloud through our solution. Premier Networks. Again, reducing management overheads, wanting to save administrative time and cost. And they are seeing twice the performance through our solution than they were seeing from their legacy. Their 5-year TCO is vastly reduced, and they've seen a reduction of 80% in management time. And last but not least, TRC. Again, similar sorts of challenges, similar sorts of results through going and using Druva as a solution. In this case, 64% reduction in total cost of ownership on taking a cloud-based approach. Ultimately, all of these customers have come to us because of the main facts that we ask you to remember. We're looking at the three main areas of problems facing organizations today. Increasing cyber resilience and maintaining compliance. Druva allows us to do that for you. Reducing cost and complexity of your backup environments. By providing a cloud-based solution, Druva provides that to you. And accelerating and protecting cloud projects. Druva is a simple, easy to use, intuitive product that simply allows you to protect without having to worry about the infrastructure behind what is being run, allowing you to concentrate more on other projects in your organization rather than just managing your overall backup. Next steps from this, by all means, reach out to Bytes. Speak to Bytes about our solutions. Get set up with a demo with the Druva team. We are more than happy to show you how simple our solution is moving forward. And evaluate your TCO savings. Either speak to us about it, we can have conversations, or pop to the Druva website and go to our TCO calculator and see how much, not only from a time-based savings, but a money-based savings you could envisage with our solution. And outside of that, I just want to say thank you again for your time, and we'll open up to any questions that you may well have. Feel free to type any questions into the chat.
Thanks, Martin. That's perfect. So while I'm just waiting, I can see there's a couple come through, but while we're waiting, I'm just going to launch this last poll for you. Yeah, so I'm going to crack on and start asking the questions as well. One moment, please. So do you have a way to store data on premise?
Excellent. So yes, we do. For organizations that require a localized copy of their data, we can provide some software to you to run within your virtualized environment or on a standalone server that will allow you to keep anywhere between 5 and 30 days worth of backup blocks locally on site for specific named servers. So if you are then wanting to do a recovery from yesterday or the day before's recovery, rather than relying on bandwidth constraints, the blocks of data can be restored from the localized cache that you have. That is a service or a piece of software that we do provide free of charge to you, should you have that specific requirement.
Thank you, Martin. And how is the service charged? Is it per machine or by storage consumption?
Yeah, great question. Thank you for that one. So the only thing that Druva charge you for is based on the amount of storage, that deduplicated storage at the back end that you have within your service, which we do pretty much on a daily basis, but we aggregate out across the month. So if you've got lots of systems that are all very similar, we are only going to be charging you for the amount of deduplicated blocks of data that are within the service. We don't make any additional charges for the amount of servers, the amount of proxies, the amount of NAS devices you are protecting, or servers or cores. It is purely just down on the amount of data that you are protecting within your environment.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Martin. So just while we're waiting and seeing if there's any more questions coming in, I just wanted to repeat that you know, we've got a little survey at the end. So if you wouldn't mind filling that out, that'd be amazing. And I've recorded this session today, so I'll be sending out the recording later on today. So if there's no more questions, I think we'll leave it there. But thank you so much, Martin, and thank you to Joe as well for speaking at the beginning. Yeah, and I hope you all have a really good day.
Thank you very much, everyone, for your time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.